Greetings, Masandawana. Greetings, football lovers from all over the world. We are back with another installment of the Yellow Corner, and this time we're bringing you the biggest and the most important match preview we've ever done ever since we started doing this at the beginning of last year or the year before last, perhaps, when we started doing this. They do not, this is the magnitude of this game, man. This is our first semi-final of the CAF Champions League since 2018, 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure you can understand when I say it's the biggest and the most important preview that we've ever done. Perhaps, how's it?
Gimnati ayizona.
No, okay, sharp. I'm nervous. I am anxious. I want it. I want to hear the first whistle blow, and you know how the players will always tell you, the first touch. I'm waiting for that
Yeah.
first touch on Saturday. I think after that I'll come down. But yeah, man, it's. I think this week is dragging, man. For me, I think it's dragging. But yeah, before we get into the preview ups, I would like to start this installment by first congratulating Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club on yet another league championship, man. The board, the management, the staff at Clocop, everyone in the kitchen, Bo Joseph, the groundsman. If you had to go to Clocop and see the pitch here, Sundowns, the training pitches, the Sundowns, they are miles ahead of the football stadiums are some of the teams. So the guys, the job that they do, Botato, Boskap, Guadoza, kid managers, they do a sterling job. And I sometimes feel like when we win, we forget about the job that those guys do behind the scenes, and our focus is only on the technical stuff and the players. And yeah, yeah, we're also earlier in the kitchen. I'll finish Kausani for us to go through the employees of Sundowns Golfella. But thank you very much to all of them. But I have a special mention for Coach Rulani, a young black coach, the youngest coach to win the South African Premiership, man. History will not forget Coach Rulani, Coach Pito, because of what they are doing for the next generation of coaches, especially black coaches. Because if we've been honest, black coaches are not given a fair run in the PSL. But what these guys, the number of guys that I interact with that are now coaches or trying to get their badges, black guys, boy, you saw also, it's, I'm not saying it's all down to Pitole Rulani, but the impact that they have had on these guys, it's huge. It's huge, and I really, really wish Coach Rulani a lot of success. I'll give you a chance to speak. I just need to not forget some of the things that I wanted to say. I was watching press conference right now of this game, the game against Wydad, and he was talking about something that Man City did against what do you call this, Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. And he always talks about De Zerbi. He's a huge fan of De Zerbi, Coach Rulani. If there's one thing that I love about Rulani, is that he's not shy or embarrassed to say, I learned 1-2 from so and so, from Mourinho. A few weeks ago, I was watching one of the podcasts that I watched, and this guy, former Chelsea player, Greg Bailey, who was not even half decent as a player, but yeah, he has a loud mouth. He said, so Liverpool have moved Trent into inverting, and he's been exceptional there, Trent. He said, Jaja Klopp in so many ways, where he copied Pep, got this inverting, fullback inverting. Why didn't he come up with it if he's such a good coach? I'm like, as a person, when you see someone, eyes and twelve, you take from that. There's nothing wrong with taking from seeing to eyes and learning and maybe even making it better, So that's one of the many things that I love about Coach Hulan. Perhaps I'm so sorry for rambling and rambling. Say whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I think congratulations to the team. As a whole, you've mentioned a lot of guys who work for Sundowns, who are working behind the scenes. I think Lebona, they deserve a credit because of there's a part that they play in the team. As much as we might not see it as the supporter, but definitely they play a key role. And speaking about Rulan, I think he has had a good season. He has done very well. Even though he faced a lot of criticism as a young coach who's coaching a very a big team, but I think he dealt very well under those criticism, and he took them as a way motivated going forward. And you look how he answers questions still sitting there uncomfortable. So it shows that he has matured as a human being and he has matured as a coach. So I congratulate him, and I believe that he's still going to do more into this team because of he's a coach that always looking forward to learning new things. You spoke about he learns from different coaches, and another thing that coaches might not be shy from is you can learn from your competitors, not just you're competing
Mm.
against this guy, but there's
Mm.
something that you can take from him and make it better for your team or for your organization. So I think Rulani, shout out to him.
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, Masanda, this is not a show about Coach Hulani. This is not an episode about him. It's actually an episode, yeah, our preview of the second leg of the CAF Champions League semi-final as we host Moroccan side Wydad AC on Saturday at 1500 hours. Rab, so let's get down to this preview, man. We're going back to Coach Hulani. There's something that Coach Hulani does a lot in his press conferences. He breaks down the opponents. He will tell you Tabiso is 178 meters or tall. These are his strengths. Rabelang is good at this and so forth. Now, I was watching press conference, yeah, our first leg, yeah, semi-final, even though I only watched it at the end after the game, yes, Sundowns, because I think I watched it on Sunday. And he broke down way that the translator even laughed, and the whole room laughed over you. That was such an in-depth analysis. He does this a lot, and he's done it again for this game. Then, does this impact the plans that the opponents when they hear him break down how they play?
I think as much as you are the opposition, you don't want the coach of the opponent to figure out how you play, like how Hulani does. But for them, I think it don't have an impact because of this is how they play. I think they don't have to change it because of Hulani had a proper analysis when he watched their previous game. So I think for them, it is a matter of making their style of play better and trying to come up with new ways on how so new ways to look at they might get something out of Sundowns, but I don't think it don't have a huge impact on them because of you can't be forced to change how you play because of the opposition coach how he analyzed your style of play and your setup. If you believe in what you do, I think you'll stick with it regardless of how the coach of the opposition analyzed your game.
I agree with you 98 or 95%. Nem, I agree with you. because a good coach sticks to his principles, just like Rulani
Yeah.
did when we got a red card last week. But I think there's an element, yeah, where you maybe try and tweak things and be like, okay, let me surprise him because he's clearly prepared for this. Let me tweak just a smaller thing, So yeah, I think it plays. It might be not a huge role. It might be a small role, but football, those small margins count a lot in football. Perhaps we got the red card to 80 last week in Miami, and one would have thought, oh no, this would mean Allende automatically starts the next game, only for Allende to follow Miami for an early shower. Give me a name of who is starting. Don't elaborate. Just give me a name of who is starting as an eight.
I'm starting Bless.
Blesser. Okay, I'm also starting Blesser. Now the question is, who takes up Miami's role? Because Miami is an eight to Sundowns. Mbule is an eight, but their roles differ. Mbule is more deep. He's 8-6, whereas Miami is more 8-10. Miami is closer to Zwane than Sipombule is. Now, who starts in that specific role? Yeah, Miami. Because for me, between Blesser Master Chef, I would start Blesser in a more advanced eight in that William Mbule, Miami, and then have Blesser drop to Mbule's role. Because I believe Blesser carries the ball forward very well, hence fetch and carry. Whereas I think Mbule is he can pick a pass. Mbule, he can pick, he can open a team. He's more creative in a way than a Blesser. So I think I would have Mbule starting in Miami's role and then move Blesser to Mbule's role, have him closer to Debza. Your side?
Yeah, no, and I think how the opponents approach this game, I think it will have an impact on us, how we are going to set up and how we're going to approach the game. Because I think Wydad, they won't press high. I think they will start marking once we get closer to the center. And I think that is suitable for a guy like Bless, who can drop a deep and fetch the ball and carries the ball forward. And you look at Blesser's profile, I think he doesn't have many assists and he's not good on the final third where he has to where he has to make the last pass that leads to a goal. And with Mbule, I think Mbule's intelligence, I think he can try to give us what Miami gives us on the pitch. Because if you look at Miami, I think the disallowed goal, yeah, Pete, I think Miami was the one who made that pass. So I think in the team right now, I think Mbule is the closest one to what Miami gives us on the pitch. So I think Mbule will be suitable in that Miami's role, and I think he has the traits similar to Miami.
Fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. You know what I hate about what we do, Rabella? Is the fact that we have to look deep into Sundowns and sometimes pick out the frailties of Sundowns. Like I'm not saying the technical teams that the opponents watch this, they have the analysts somewhere and they probably have long picked up some of the things that we pick up then. But I hate that we have to talk about sometimes the weakness of Sundowns. Then we had struggled in a few games in terms of defending the corner kicks. Then I'm not sure if you picked this up in our game here in the first leg of the semi-final in how we defended the corner kicks because I picked up something. I'm not sure if you did. Did you pick up anything in terms of anything different in terms of how we defend the set piece, the corner kicks?
I think there are few. One being there was a ball where I saw Ronwen coming out and catching the ball, and there was it was in the corner. I think it was a cross coming from the right there with that, and he went out and he punched the ball with his fist. So I think those are two things that I managed to witness against with that in the first leg.
All right. And I picked up one in terms of our defensive setup. Then initially, we would mark a hybrid, whereas you have guys who block the offensive, the headers to the opponents, and then guys who are zonal, you know. And the zonal guys, it was always three guys. It was always Mvala, AB, and then Kima Shalulile behind them. We've tweaked it. We tweaked it in the game here with that. Instead of having those three marking zonally, we had Mvala and Shalulile. I think Aksakula, was the third guy. But one of the tallest center backs in AB who used to mark zonally went to mark man to man. In the first half, he went to mark a Sambo man to man, got corner kicks. And then when he went off, that boy who is not as tall as Sambo, number 33, I actually thought would now mark zonally when Sambo is gone out, but no, he stuck to marking the center forward of the opponent. So I think that's now the plan. Or the most dangerous person, or the center forward, we have one of the center backs men marking him instead of having our best three headers all standing zonally. So I think that's one key thing that I've picked up. Perhaps Wydad in this season's Champions League, they've only scored 3 goals away from home. They scored 2 goals away from home against Pedro in the group stages. And then in the preliminary stages, they scored 1 goal away against Rivers FC. It says a lot about them and the fact that they travel and then they don't necessarily score. Whereas Sundowns at home, excuse me, in the Champions League, we have scored 16 goals. Yes, 8 might have come against La Paz, but we've scored 8 goals at home. What does this tell you about both teams? Do you see Wydad getting an away goal? Do you see Sundowns out, or do you see Sundowns outscoring them? Or
I think, judging based on the numbers that you have mentioned, I think Sundowns has huge possibility of scoring, I think, more than 1. And you look at the numbers of that, I think away their team that struggles to score. And you look at the environment that they are going to face. I think it's not going to be easy for them because of they're up against a good team, and also they're up against a team that is, I would say, in the second leg, we're a team that is under pressure because of we are playing at home. It is an advantage, and also the support from the fans will give us an advantage. So I think it adds a pressure on us, and having to face a team that is as big as Sundowns that has a pressure on the semi-finals. I think with that, I think it will be difficult, and for them to go or to throw all their toys and come at Sundowns, I think it will be risky. I think they will definitely be cautious, and that might work for us as Sundowns, as well, a team that is loves being in charge of the game.
mm-hmm. Let's move on to expectations. Let's move on to approaches of these clubs in this match, and what we expect. I think the one thing that we need to expect from these guys, key gamesmanship. We saw it the first leg. They tried to cheat. They tried to get the foul from referee and so forth. I think they're going to come back with that mentality. They are not American, not Africans. So it's always expected. So it's very important for us not to lose our heads. We need to be calm at all times. Don't lose your heads. Like, don't let them get into you. Even if it's deep into the second half, we haven't got a goal. Do not lose your heads. That's the most, I think that's a key thing for me. I expect a very low block. I mean, this team last weekend when we played them, once we got the ball, they would retreat, and only press after a pass is played from into the middle or the offensive third. That's the only time they would press. So I expect a very low block in this game. Very, very low block with hope of finding with a hope of playing in transition, because as much as they played a low, they would retreat them. There are two players who didn't retreat as much in Boara on the left flank as well as Sambu. So I think they will try and you apply the same tactic again, where they expect Boara to use they use Boara as an out ball to use his pace to counter us, as well as in the case of Sambu, use him as an out ball to hold the ball and have them hold it while he waits for support. Perhaps the way these guys retreated, they retreated so much that they made that zone 5 area so congested, because it was the back four, and then they were compact. It was the back four, the two central midfielders, and then Onajem would join Jaibi and Jabrani by Mole in front of the back four. So they close that space, man. They close that space. They make it impossible to find the passes. So I think it will be really key when we move the ball quickly once we get into that space. We want to, when we get to that area. If a 1-2 is not there, or moving the ball quickly to penetrate them, I think recycling the ball, which is something that we're very good at, recycling the ball, that extra pass, and being patient and waiting for the right moment to open the ball, shifting them, moving the ball from one side to the other, bring it inside, shift it, until they make a mistake and they open a gap for us that we can utilize them. I think it will be very important for us to try and seek an early goal, something that Coach Ulani mentioned. No, we have an early goal in us. We can score in the first 10 minutes or so. So I think an early goal, it puts a dagger in their hearts and it finishes them off. I mean, in that game, before the game, we felt like they looked defeated, those guys, like the fact that they couldn't get a goal at home, they looked defeated. And I think if we get an early goal, it deflates them. They are done. And another thing that I picked up, Rapelang, they fight a lot amongst each other. They fight a lot. There's one time that the ground against the teammates, but when they fight, and I think if we score an early goal, we might witness an incident similar to what happened to Lee Boyer and Karen Dyer a few years ago in Newcastle. So another thing, my last point, is that the pass to Modiba when he inverts is always there. It was always there on Saturday. A pass from either Ronwen or one of the center backs in between Onajem, Lesambu, who are terrible at marking, shutting down the passing lanes. They're awful, actually. The pass is always there. But the problem came from when Modiba advanced the ball to the guys in front of him. They didn't complete the passes and it would end so many promising attacks. So I think we need to try and complete our passes, because I think once we complete our passes in that attacking third, we'll be in for the goals. It's your turn, my brother.
I think with that in the approach, I think we won't see a lot of changes. I think they will definitely try to use Onagem and get those crosses from him. And you look at how sometimes he can be direct on a 1v1. I think they would want to get those situations where it's him up against Mudiba, and hopefully they get something because of in the first leg. I think the first 6 minutes of the game, there were two crosses coming from the right side. Yeah, with that, so it shows. I think in this game, second leg, they will try and do what they did or what failed in the first leg, and maybe they try to do it right this time. And I think them their pressing, I think it will be different. You spoke about a low block. So I think in the first leg, there was a huge gap between the midfielders and Sambo because of Sambo would press alone, but when you look behind him, there's a lot of space. So that means the midfielders were not following up in pressing, and that frustrated him a lot because of he
Mm.
needed the support from the middle fielder. So I think in this game, they will definitely tell Sambo maybe to retreat, drop deep once Sundowns progress slowly with the ball. And I think it will change how we build up at the back. Normally, when we build up at the back, we have on goal kicks, we have Rowan, lay AB closer to the ball where Ronwen passes AB or AB passes Ronwen. But in this case, I think they won't on goal during goal kicks. I think they won't stand outside our box. I think they will be a little bit back, not close to the box where they can apply that high pressure. So I think progressing with the ball from AB, I think it will be key from him and Blesser. And you spoke about the traffic that was in the middle. I think there was a moment where AB couldn't find those passes, those breaking line passes to the Shish or Miami because of the traffic that was in the middle field. So I think we should try by all means to break that congestion in the middle field. It can be by stretching them so that it's either Mdau goes too wide to the line or Mudiba. If there's no space for him to invert, Lena he hits that line so that we are able to create those spaces in the middle field. But it will definitely change how Mdiba plays, and that might try to affect how we move because of Mlima. Modiba is definitely good when he inverts. So I think it will be difficult for Gulani whether to say to Mdiba, go to the line or do what you always do uh, by inverting. So I think uh, Miami, I think we'll definitely miss him. We'll definitely miss that player who has that final pass. I think we spoke about Mbule and we are hoping he will try to give us that in the field. And patience. This game will test our patience. It's one of those games that will definitely test how patient we are as a team. I think a goal when you are too desperate for a goal. Sometimes you are the one who concedes first because of being too desperate for a goal. That means you push a lot of numbers forward and you leave spaces in certain areas. So as much as we are looking for to score an any goal, but it shouldn't be from a place of desperation because we might be punished. So I think patience is where it comes in. Rotation of the ball, like Ucholo, moving them, shifting them. There's a moment where there will be that space. And once we are seconds late, they might close that space. So once we see there's a space, we must definitely utilize that space to our advantage. And I think we fought the ball. We should be aggressive, but in a sense, we don't make silly falls because remember, there's VAR. So, in terms of aggression, I think we need to be smart. I think if they have the ball, sometimes you press, but with the intention of you don't want to win the ball, but you want to force the guy to pass back. So I think that's what I would expect from the team when we don't have the ball in terms of applying that pressure and being aggressive.
You know that point that you mentioned when we don't have the ball. I actually forgot to mention when I was talking about their options that out ball to say oh, our rest defense needs to be
Yeah,
key, you know. And then when we counter press, because there's no team in Africa that counter presses like Sundowns. It's Ayo. Like I'm prepared to fight anyone who will come and show me a team that counter presses better than Sundowns in the continent. Let's get into the lineups, Raps. This week I'm going first. I'm going with William because I have a surprise in this team. I'm not sure if it's a big surprise, but I have a surprise. I'm going with Williams. My back four, Mudau, Mvala, AB, Mudiba. Hare, I'll have Debza as well as Mkulise Mbule, and then Shiga at the tip of the diamond. Up top, I have Shalulile. I do not have Moren. I have my Lula up top. And I have my reasons for this. Because I think they'll approach this game come a low block. This will mean Hore Tapelo won't have Tapelo is very good at running at the defense or running behind them. You know, he needs room to run at or behind them, which is something I don't think we will have initially in the game, maybe until after we score. Whereas my Lula, I think this game suits him because he can play the 1-2. He's better. I don't want to say technically, but if we look at Golia Shiga, that's been nominated for goal of the season. In that space, you need someone who will think that quick way, pass as well. And I think this game will suit my Lula. And then maybe after we've scored, second half, when they now more open looking for a goal, you bring in Tapelo because Tapelo can now run behind them. Your thoughts or your lineup, actually? Your thoughts?
oh, I think you made a good point because of you look at those those two players, their abilities. Morena, sometimes he needs that space behind the defense to run. You look at Cassius. Cassius, he needs good movement
Movement,
in
yes.
tight areas. You look at the goals that he scored, Mailul. Those some of them are tap-ins because of his movement box. So he can anticipate the ball and he can sense where the assist will come from. But Morena has has the pedigree
Only
or
that thing, Africa, that thing.
yeah, yeah. So then to what in this moment he tends to deliver and perform well. So so I'll continue with Morena, but based on the point that you made, yeah, Cassius, I think it is a good and valid point, and I won't be surprised if he starts. But based on history of Morena and how he has performed in such crucial moments or crucial games, I think Morena, I'll go with him, man.
Okay, same lineup, just difference. Morena by Lula for when.
Yeah,
Okay, score prediction.
I think we'll win 3-1.
Oh, I'm also going for 3-1 actually. Yeah, one final thing. I really hope we get a decent referee. He doesn't have to be good. He has to be decent, not that part that we got last weekend. Yes, so that guy, man, he annoyed me. Jabrani played 90 minutes when he kicked Shika. Early second half, he kicked Sapelo, he elbowed Mbule, and he was not sent off. So I really hope, man, we get a decent referee. But I saw when you asked, I think, careful who's the referee. I think Ndosi responded and said it's some guy from Sudan, Ali Mahmoud Ismaili. So I think, man, Ibanali strong and officiate, be a professional. That's all we ask from you. Just be professional, man. Hey, that's all we want. Hey, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, in the first leg, one of the VAR officials, it was a guy from Tunisia. He is in a Northern Africa region of officiating or being part of the VAR. God gave me a team from Southern Africa and Northern Africa. So I think sometimes it's not the rave. I think I'll blame CAF as a federation, or they know how there's a criteria on how they should select officials, but Bona, they just select. I mean, I think that was one of the highlights of it. They need to do better in terms of selecting the right officials for the right games. Because of, imagine if Rona in the second leg, one of the VR officials is a guy from Botswana. How do they feel? They will even protest before gaming or go to the media, better those silly statements. It's about to get.
Yeah, Masandawana, let's play our role on Saturday. We don't do this at Sundowns when a player makes mistakes. We don't throw things inside the pitch. We don't, you're a supporter, you go to the stadium to sing the loudest. If you're able to arrive early, let's get there early and make it hostile for them. I'm not saying oriented into that are out that are not we're not supposed to do, but let us be hostile. Let these guys feel or they are in another country. They are not at home. Let's play our role, guys, and let's be patient with the boys, even if the goal doesn't come as early as we might have liked. Let's sing our, let's be the loudest that we've ever been. Let's play our role. The technical team play their role. The players will definitely play their role. And please do subscribe, guys, like and comment. And yeah, this might be our last episode of the season. And I hope it's not. We will be back on the 31st of June, of May, to bring you the preview of our CAF Champions League semi-final. But yeah, I really hope it's not the last episode. Until then, Masandawana, sharp, we'll see you. We'll see you.
Yeah,
We'll see us on the 31st of May. We have a minute.
you know, we are going to a tough battle when you start to involve Badim and Mudim. So hey, yeah, no,
I believe
it's a
in
tough
you,
one.
Badim. If when we win the Champions League, there's a picture
Yeah,
that I'm going to post that you, when you
yeah,
before the Champions League started, I think only you, me, and Clotho know about this picture. So I'll post it. Fingers crossed, Tore, we get to the final and win
yeah.
the final so that I can post it. Until then, Masandawana, sharp. Good luck to the boys. Good luck to the team. Sharp.
Sharp, Masanda, sharp, Aizo.